Welcome to FX Options University, recorded live at the International Securities Exchange, the world's largest equity options exchange. Join the industry's top trading professionals as they provide insight and strategies for trading in the currency markets using FX options. FX options are a low-risk alternative to hedging currency moves in any market condition.
So going back to my checklist, here's an example of an online trading log and an actual trade that's set up since the last time I did a webinar for the ISE. This one's going to take a second or two to load. Should be able to see where it says ISE FX options trading log for the yen. Okay? Everybody see that? All right. So this is an example of how a trader can record an online trading log as a record of a trade in the US dollar using ISE FX options. So I scanned the market, and I'm looking for the best opportunity. And since I trade mostly as a position trader or a swing trader, I'm going to look at weekly charts for the best opportunities to trade based on the stage of the market cycle that the currency is in. And I'm going to look to see if price is rallying into any larger time frame resistance or support. If I can't find support and resistance on the weekly charts, I'm going to look at the daily chart next. The weekly chart is the primary trend chart. So any trades entered on the daily chart can be entered in the direction of the primary trend, or if there's significant support or resistance on a weekly chart or a daily chart, I can trade a trade that may be counter to the primary trend, because if I have support and resistance, I may have a potential range-bound market. So such a situation developed in the yuck pair since I did that last ISE webinar in October last year. During September and October, a new weekly resistance area forms on the weekly chart. Price bases for 2 weeks, sells off and makes a new all-time low against the yen in November of 2010. On 11/23, the yuck is about to rally into this weekly resistance area on my chart here for the very first time. So you should see the weekly chart, and you should see the rally that's just about to go into the resistance area that I marked off with a couple of lines and the word resistance. So now the support that I'm going to trade this down to is located down near the all-time lows. And since the dollar is in a bear market cycle, stage 4, shorting a rally into resistance is a strategy to join the downtrend, provided the distance to the first area of support is at least 2 to 3 times the risk. So notice how the strong rally away from the 81.40 area is where the support is going to be, and it's also the potential for a double bottom, and it's also the potential for some kind of a trading range bottom. And the thing is now, with this currency pair, dollar versus the yen, it's going to be a potential trading range until either the support is broken and then the dollar will make new lows against the yen, or it's going to be a breakout to the upside, in which case we're going to start a new uptrend. So in either case, it's going to be range bound until that happens. And so this is now a close to a 3-to-1 trading opportunity based on the weekly chart. So a month later, we still got the dollar yen trading in the sideways pattern. It's trading between 84 and 86. And if trades are entered on weekly charts, make sure if you're buying options, you buy enough time. You don't want to be buying nearby options if you happen to be buying options, because this trade could take a while on a weekly chart to develop. And it's already going on 4 to 5 weeks that we rallied into that resistance area at 84, and pretty much we're just going sideways. And the reason is for some reason the currency traders have decided that they're more comfortable using the Japanese yen as a safe haven currency versus the dollar. And we've noticed that situation in the last few weeks. With all the tensions we've had all over the world, the dollar still isn't rallying very much. However, the yen does. So as I'm going down here, I see that depending on my level of trader approval, I have several option strategies that I can go for with this situation. And so I have a link to the FX Options website where the trading strategies are listed. And so once I get to this page, as I'm trying to work myself through what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at this page to see which are the best opportunities for a market where the dollar happens to be neutral, expecting reduced volatility. In a trading range situation, generally you'll see the dollar just go up and down and not really rally or sell off very much, so the volatility is pretty much reduced. So I have an opportunity at selling an iron condor if I'm approved for that. I have an opportunity for buying a butterfly. If I'm expecting increased volatility, I would look at the two strategies where I could buy a strangle or a straddle. The only way I would ever think about possibly a straddle would be if I was in the middle of that trading range, expecting a breakout either to the down or the upside, and I had room to do it, that might work. But you've always got to be careful because the trading range in this case that we're looking at is basically very, very small. It's a small trading range. So make sure that you have the right strategy for the size trading range that you have. It's only 81.50 to about 84. So as you can see, on 111, prices reached the support. So it's time for me, if I'm a trading range trader, to buy the calls near the previous low. And there's a double bottom situation down here. I can unwind my short options positions at that time. If I have multiple contracts, I can hang on to a put or two, just in case it breaks out and makes new lows. And it was one of those situations, as you could see, where as soon as it reaches the lows at around 111, within a couple of weeks, we're already rallying back strongly to that 84 resistance area. So in this case, unwind that long call if you have the opportunity. Buy back those short puts if they're very, very cheap, because in a trading range situation like this, movements can happen quickly, and that was a pretty nice rally candle right after the week after the call purchase, and right back up into where the resistance was. So here we are again, looking at reestablishing the position if possible. Here we are now in the middle of February, still going sideways and inside the same trading range, having a hard time breaking the resistance, having a hard time breaking the support. We have a neutral market. We have a neutral market again, condors selling credit call spreads, credit put spreads, anything to take advantage of a market that's just going sideways and basing, if that's the kind of trading that you like to do. Okay? And here we are, 3-1, the last chart on this document, and you'll notice that still the previous support is holding, the previous resistance is holding. The next trend move is going to be a break above this resistance for a stage 2 uptrend, or if we break through the support and we make new lows, then this will just be another distribution followed by another markdown cycle. Okay? So that's an example of an online trading log to where I'm not cutting down trees. I'm pasting pictures in as the trade's going on. I'm keeping records of what I've done and how I've adjusted it and how I've made it made changes to my plan as time has gone on. So here is the daily checklist. Step number 2, checking news headlines. I'm going to click on this link here that says fxoptions.com newsfeed. It's going to take me to a page here where Steve has a wonderful news feed from a very, very good news feed service that I like, which is Market International. And so I'm just basically looking at this point, Market News International, basically looking at headlines. If I was trading some kind of economic data from the previous day, guaranteed I will get a headline to report on the result of that economic data from the previous day. If I see there's things in here such as Moody's downgrading City of Athens, Greece, 3 notches, that could possibly be some information that I would want to be aware of for a potential change in trend for the euro right now. The euro's been in a nice strong rally, and of course there's been talk that ECB Weber wants to raise rates and Jean-Claude Trichet wants to raise rates, and the major rates may come at their next policy meeting. So as I go through the headlines just from today, I saw headlines earlier this morning about, once again, that rate hike signals should be seen as normalization. So most of the people from the policy department over at the ECB are all seeming to be talking up inflation and therefore worried about inflation. And so they're going to be raising interest rates here pretty soon, which means it should benefit the euro versus the dollar. So once I've gone through my headlines, which is an exercise that I want to go through just to check on what happened the previous day, etc., I'm also going to log in as an Online Trading Academy instructor or as an Online Trading Academy student. I would be logging into our website. I'm currently logged in, and I'm actually at the Kansas City website homepage. And as a visitor to our page, I'm going to say that you're not going to have the same resources available as students on our homepage do. So this may be a web page that you want to go to when you're doing research. So you may want to go to our website, look under the free resources for free online trading courses, webinar archives, our Lessons from the Pros newsletters as somebody who's not a student. But I'll give you a sneak peek as to what a student has here, something called a student lobby. And in the student lobby, for anybody that is a student of Online Trading Academy, we have our Student Resource Center, including access to our extended learning program courses. And I just log into that student lobby really quick. And then I'll show you our trader dashboard, because our trader dashboard is something that we use for our students to make their daily checklist very simple. So this is our home page there, and we have our XLT courses and our XLT course menu, our XLT calendar for all the courses that are coming up and when they're going to be released for the students. So today happens to be the 8th, and we had a future session, a Forex session, a session for the long-term investors called Proactive Investing coming up a little later today. And this would be where you would go as a student to get all the information that you would need to make your daily checklist. Our Trader's Dashboard is a great tool because it has everything that we're talking about in one place. And it's one of the reasons that I modeled my trading checklist that I'm going to share with the rest of you after this model, because all the information you need is going to be in one place. Takes a little second here to load. But here's where I can get my market summary, my headlines, my economic data, my earnings calendar. So all this information is one place. That's how you start your day, to prepare your day for gathering information. And during the day, you can look for most actives. If you're a stock trader, you can look for movers and shakers in the market. You can look for your earnings calendar extended and your economic calendar extended if you're trading stocks. You can also look, if you're somebody that's learning how to trade and need trading ideas, we have what we call our Pro Picks. And we have trades for stock traders, Forex traders. We have trades for futures traders as well. Okay? So that's a sneak peek inside what you have as a student at tradingacademy.com. Okay? And you have plenty of free resources too if you're somebody that's out there that's trying to educate yourself. On the global calendars, in addition to the one that Steve has available with the excellent news source, you may want to look at a global calendar where you can get economic data releases from all over the world, customized into your time zone. And I use a website like that because, once again, this website has economic data releases from Japan, from the US, from Switzerland, from the Eurozone, from New Zealand, Australia, etc. And it is customizable in your own trading time zone. So this one actually matches up to the Eastern time zone. That means that if I want to look at this calendar under the Central, I can click right here and change it. And if I'm somebody that doesn't know what these economic data reports are, especially if I'm trading, what's the Royal Bank of Australia? Who is this? Or what's core machine orders in Japan? Or what's home loans month over month in Australia? And what do these impacts mean? So I would use a website like this to prepare my day, because this will be my before website. And I can also see what the consensus expected release is supposed to have on the currency. And of course, if we have great big disparities between the report and the expected result, it would result probably in a movement in the markets. So as somebody who's trading currencies and trying to keep up on all the economies of all over the world, this might be a good calendar for you on my checklist, which I'm going to share with you guys at the end of the presentation. All right, and then as I'm going through my list, I've got all the information written down. I also have a couple of websites where I can convert the time into Greenwich Mean Time. I convert it into my own time zone. I've got step number 4, checking my account, orders, checking my open position, checking my equity. I've got my survival sheet information. I've also got my technology check, make sure my cell phone is charged, make sure I have a backup computer, backup internet. I happen to have a wireless air card that I use to trade in case I lose my home internet connection in my office. And I have a website on here for you, a link to a website that would allow you to go out and find out what your IP address is if you need it. Okay? So these are some of the things that you would want to have to be prepared. And as I'm going down the rest of my checklist here, as I get ready to do my strategies, since it's ISE FX options and option strategies, once again, I'm going to need a charting tool that's going to take me to a place where I can chart my ISE FX options pairs. And it's going to load up here in a second. It happens to be a great place where I can get a ton of information in one place without the use of a fancy trading platform. And it's all geared exactly towards the currency pairs that I plan on trading. I've got a drop-down menu here which has the symbols for all of the ISE FX option pairs that are available to trade. I'm looking at the euro on a 6-month chart. I noticed that my euro has rallied up into this 140 area of resistance up here, and it seems to be selling off a little bit. It happens to be selling off, though, to the origin of a nice rally at around 138. So if I'm somebody that's bullish on the euro, once again, you can either buy a new high in a currency, or if it happens to pull back to some kind of support at 138, it may be a low-risk buying opportunity. Of course, some of the news that's coming out these days is starting to turn negative on the euro, and that trade may not work. So if you do buy a pullback on this chart, let me use the drawing tool here to highlight the support area that I'm talking about. You would want to make sure that you place your stop loss very, very close by on that trade, just below the low of that support area. And if the euro happens to dip down to that 138, I could have a stop below 137 for a tight stop and a target of 140. It's a 2-to-1 trade at this point. However, if it happens to work out and it can manage to rally past there, 142 would be your next target, which is the high from last year in October and November. So I even have the tools necessary to draw on my charts. And as a technical trader, I want to also look to see as much data as I can so I can go up to 2 years back. As an option trader, I want to be aware of the ratio between the implied volatility between 30 and 60 days. Or if I want more time, I can go the implied versus the historic versus 90 days or 120 days. I can also look down here for order flow. I can look for logarithm, and I can look at linear charts. So look at the charting tools that you have available if you're somebody that wants to trade ISE FX options with end-of-day data as a position or a swing trader. You can clear everything off the chart that you put on there pretty quick. You can also draw shapes on your chart if you want. And there's even a nice Fibonacci retracement tool here too. So excellent job on these charts. I use them myself when I try to plan these trades out, because it's so much easier for me to be able to chart my symbols. And a lot of times I don't have my workspaces that I have at home for ISE FX options. So this is the next best place to get that information. And let's go, just while we're here, real quick and look at that yen pair. So I'll change my chart to the yen pair. And I noticed today, again, a little bit of a rally for the dollar, still finding support at the 81.50 level. This is actually a base of support that I can draw some lines around for you. So I can see where I have some support at 81.50, and my stop loss on the long trade would need to be below these lows. And I also have some resistance up here close to 84.50. And if I'm going short, I would need to have my stop loss above these highs. So if you can get it to where you can draw the lines like that, which is what we teach you as part of our Online Trading Academy core strategies, how to identify these trading range potentials or how to identify trending markets, then you know that as long as it stays inside these 4 lines, I can collect premium or I can look for a market that's already trending. Because it looks like we go back and forth between loving the dollar against the yen and then hating the dollar against the yen. But all it is there's limit orders to buy down here and limit orders to sell up here and a market that's stuck between. And your long-term moving averages? Yes.
Tony has a question, and he says, would you mind just showing us the Fibonacci's again on the chart? You know, I guess the one you're showing is fine. Tony just doesn't know how you got that, the Fibonacci.
Sure. Here's your Fibonacci retracement tool. Yeah, Steve, all I can see is the
I know. That's why I jumped in. Sorry.
Thank you. All right, so let's say I picked this high up here to this low, and I drew my Fibonacci tool. There's the tool right there. And the reason I connected that high, the August high, is because it's one of a series of swing highs in this 98 area. The last time we had some kind of a rally in this 98 area, that would be my high. And if I was somebody that right now was bearish on the dollar versus the yen, I might look to short a failure of the 38 or the 50 or up to the 61 Fibonacci. So if there is a breakout and I'm overall bearish long term, I would look to short either when we make new lows against the dollar, which is below 80 here, or if there's some kind of a rally up to a key Fibonacci level, all the way up to 61. Beyond 61, we may retrace 100% of that move and end up with a longer-term trading range situation. So that's a great question. Now, once again, I can clear all drawing objects off the chart like that. Now I've got a clean chart, which is a couple of moving averages, and looks like the 200 moving average is still sloping down pretty good. So using moving averages might be another way if you're bearish on this currency pair, short a rally up to that down-sloping moving average. But I'm looking at this as possibly, if it breaks out of that channel, it could begin a leg up for the dollar versus the yen. All right.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. Get trading ideas, exchange rates, webinars, news, and commentary. Visit www.fxoptions.com. ISE FX options can be easily traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.